Hello there, and welcome to your next project. A year ago, we had a weather station on top of one of our buildings, and of course, something like an 80+ mile an hour gust of wind hit it. At least that's the last reading it gave us before it fell off the roof. It was knocked off its bolted on perch, and when it landed, it broke the wind cups on the weather vane. Broke one of the arms off. But never fear, we can 3D print a brand new replacement. So, which is something we did do, and this is something that in case you run into it, or if you're looking to build your own weather station, you can use this project to get a good start on it. This is essentially the hard part. A wind vane is no big deal. It's just basically a flat piece of plastic or something that sails in the wind and gives you direction. This is the one that spins, and it spins a little motor that you then decide how fast the wind is going. And this is a proportionally designed wind cups that most weather stations use. So, since we measured the existing one, these sizes should work just fine. Alright, let's build the thing. So, we'll start off. We'll take and start a brand new sketch. And we're still dealing with metric, so we'll create a new one. And of course, we have our original here, just in case we need to go back and cheat and look at some of the dimensions. And a lot of the dimensions will be in this PowerPoint right here. It starts out with that heading, basically what I told you, the points that it's worth. You can look at those. How we're going to grade this. Basically what I did is I looked at the number of steps involved, and I came up with a formula that gives us a base of 100 points. And each of the steps, the more involved it is, the more points it was worth. I basically counted the number of steps necessary to do each task, and it came out to something like 25 steps, which is basically 1/4 of 100. So 4 times each step gave me these scores. I thought that was pretty fair. So here we go. This has a lot going on. We are going to draw this, and then what this will become with the revolve command will be this. And so what I'll show you on the station that I did here, we'll take this end part and shove it up high so that we can kind of see. There we go. I'm going to make that sketch visible. And what that will show you, if I turn it so that we can see the side, actually I'll click on the front here, and now you can kind of see all the dimensions in there, and it'll be a little easier if I go up to view and I go to visual style and I tell it to do wireframe. Now there's a lot of lines here, but these lines here pretty much match these lines here. Okay, so what you've got, the easiest way to draw this is in 3 steps. We'll do this outer edge first, and then we'll work from left to right. We'll put this one in, and then we'll put this one in. And that should complete it. So we'll go back to this drawing here. Here's that L, that outside edge I was just referring to. We'll draw that first. And then working left to right, we'll put this one in, and then we'll put this one in. Alright, so let's reset this back to something more reasonable. You gotta love these wireframe diagrams. They're really kind of cool. It lets you see the innards of things. But you can see how that revolves and turns into, that flat shape turns into a fancy shape. And this looks just like the original. Okay, so we'll put the wireframe back to shaded so it looks nice. We'll re-hide, remove the visibility of that so we can see. And let's go back to our original sketch. So, where shall we start? I think what we will do is when we start our 2D sketch, we're going to draft off of this plane right here, the XY plane. So we'll click on it and we'll just kind of slide it down a little bit, and then we'll go take a look and see what should we start with. Well, let's start with this line and this line and this line. And then we'll set the exact lengths of each one. That one should be 10 millimeters, that one should be 12, and that one should be 12. The only real two tricks here is that this one has an angle. It's 2.5 millimeters from the X axis to that point there. You can see 2.5 millimeters up. We don't have an angle, we just have an actual measurement because we used a ruler to measure the original, not a protractor. And then this one here is straight up and down. Straight up and down vertical. So we know that that can be constrained straight up. This one can be constrained 2.5 millimeters at the end of 10 millimeters. And then whatever this is, just make a length of 12. And the rest of it will all just fall into place. Like magic. Alright, let's go back to speaking of magic. Let's draw it. Okay. Not in centerline mode, not in construction mode. We'll just go right for the line. Starting at the center point of origin. We'll click on it and go out a little bit. Oh, I guess that's far enough. No idea what degrees it should be. We know we need one of those, and then we know we need one of those, and then we need one that is straight up and down. Alright, and that right there I can see the constraint for up and down, vertical constraint. So I'll click it, and then I'm going to hit escape to get out of that. And now, what shall we start with first? How about we get that 2.5 millimeter thing out of the way? So we can do that. In order to do that, I need this x-axis visible. So I'm going to go up to my origin up here, and I'm going to tell it the x-axis. I'm going to right-click on it and tell it visibility. I'm going to click on visibility so I can see it. And I did see it. There's that little yellow dot there, and this is just a little different color. There it is. And now to really see it, so I click on dimension, and I go find that dot right there. I click on it. I go down here to my x-axis and click on it. Now I have 2.43. I was close. Should be 2.5. So I'm going to click on it again and again. And I'm going to type 2.5. Alright, because I do believe it is 2.5. Is it not? It is 2.5 right there. Now, it looks like we go, this one should be 10, and the next two should be 12. So let's do that. Alright, so we're still in dimension. I'm going to put my mouse on here and click one time. Oh. Now, you see when it does that, that's not the direction I want it. I want to click on it one more time. That's the direction I want it. And the first one is 10 and the next two are 12. So click on it again, 10, and notice that my 2.5 millimeter constraint is still there. So that should match up nicely. Let's make these next two 12. So I click on that, and of course it's doing that goofy thing, so I click it again. And now I'm getting my nice click it, and make it 12. There, it shortened it up just a touch. And this one's already vertically constrained, so these angles are making sense. So still in dimension. So I'll click on it, and I'll move out, click on it again and again, and make it 12. Okay. So we are off to the races. I'm going to hit escape a few times so the dimension is off. Let's go check and see how we're doing. We got our 10, we got our 12, we got our 12, 2.5. So we have this outside edge drawn. Now I'm going to show you a shortcut. This right here, imagine that as being a solid line. We're going to use the offset command to make that one. This is awesome. This is where you use your tools. So click on offset. We'll click on that whole sketch that we've just put in and click on it. We'll go in and somewhere around there and we'll click it, anchor it in. Now, how far offset should that be? Well, let's go back to our measurements here, and I see one here says 2 millimeters from there to there. Okay, which makes me think it's 2 millimeters all the way through. So let's do that. Let's go to dimension, click on it, click on that first line, come all the way across, click on that second line, come up a little bit, click on it to anchor it, click it again, and we'll change it to 2. And there, the whole thing just slid in. Perfect. Let's see how we're doing. We're getting there. We've got this channel drawn now. So let's cap it. Let's put a cap there and a cap there. Alright. So here's the tricky one. Well, we'll do the easy one first. We'll zoom in a little bit. We've got our line selected. Nothing here selected, so right there's a green dot, so it'll be fully constrained. And right there's a nice green dot. Click on there. And that caps that end. But this one's going to be a little different. Notice that line's hanging out. Well, I'll show you how to fix that. So we'll go to our point of origin, click on it, come straight up. And I can see that that is straight up. This is 90 degrees, and it has a little symbol there that tells me that's constrained straight up. Perfect. Well, let's get rid of that little tab, which is easy to do with the trim command. So we'll click on trim, just put your mouse on it and touch it and make sure that it's going to trim what you want, and that is what I want, the dotted line. So I'll click it and it is gone. Great. Hit escape a few times just to get, so I'm not trimming stuff I don't want to trim. And hit escape because I didn't mean that. I meant to move it. I didn't mean to select anything. So let's compare and see how we're doing. We got this outer channel done. Great. There it is. So now we need to put one of those posts up here. We'll do this one first. Now the way the measurements are laid out, this first one is 12.6 millimeters tall, and we're going to go from left to right. So the first dimension we have is 1.6 millimeters in, and then 12.6 millimeters up from that line. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, let's put the 1.6 millimeter one in first at the 12.6 millimeter height. This is where construction lines are very handy. And center line lines are handy. Let's grab ourselves a center line. And we'll choose line. And I know it's going to go somewhere around here. From there to there, but we do know it has to be straight up and down. So we've got that. I've clicked and I'm going to hit escape. And there's my center line. And now I need a y-axis to refer to it. So I'm going to go over to the y-axis, right click on it, tell it to be visible. And I can see it. It's right there. And there's my center line. And we want it to be 1.6 millimeters apart from each other. No problem. Dimension. Click on the y-axis. Click on the center line. And go up here somewhere so it's out of the way. Click on it, and again, I think it was 1.6, was it not? Let's double check. 1.6. Right there. From that axis over to that line right there. Okay. And the other thing we want is yeah, I know. Don't show me it again. Okay, we'll turn off the center line feature. but I am going to go with a construction line feature, because now I want to go from that point there up, how far? 12.6. So we want this to go up 12.6. You know, I can just skip the construction line part and go right for my line. And just starting there, where it kind of snaps, go straight up. I think it's 12.6, somewhere in that area. Let's just make it ridiculously long, but it follows the center line. Okay, then we'll just click away. So we have this long line that anchors itself right there, which is perfect. And it is way too tall. We want it to be 12.6. 12.6. 12.6. Keep saying to yourself, 12.6. Nope, that's not it. Well, I see I'm grabbing a center line as well as this line when I hit dimension down here. So let me show you a little trick. I know that center line doesn't go all the way up. So I'm going to click dimension, I'm going to click on this one, and there. We'll go this way because that's the way it shows the other one. And we'll click it to anchor, click it again, 12.6. And it shortened it right up. Fortunately, it was constrained here, so we didn't have to worry about it changing the dimensions of this. 12.6, right? Right. Very good. Okay. So, that's the inner one. Now let's just keep working from left to right. Let's go across with this one. And we want it to be 2.66. 2.66, that line right there. 2.66. What did I say? 2.66. So we'll click on line. We'll get in here to that corner, straight across. 2.66. So that's pretty close. 0 degrees means it's straight across. 2.66. Hit dimension. Click on it. Come up and click on it. I'll just put it way up here. It's out of the way. Click on it to anchor it, click on it again, and it's 2.66. Okay, double check your work. 2.66. Very good. Now we'll go down. And honestly, we don't have to know how far down that is, because we know just all the way straight down to that line. We have everything we need for that. So we'll click on the line, and I'll show you a trick with this. Once you get it moving straight down like this, and you've got it, oh, that missed. Hit escape. Let's hit line again. This time let's try to get to the end. Perfect. The green dot's a good clear signal. And that shows a vertical constraint. So, and I'm going to hit escape, because notice I didn't draw the whole line straight down. I'm going to use this extend command right here. I'm going to touch that line. It's going to go all the way down, and it will constrain itself and everything for me right there. Escape. Go back and check our work. Yep, that's what we want. We want it going down there, but we don't want anything in here. Okay. Now when I go back to here, I have a line right there. It goes all the way across. Remember, we drew this as one great big solid thing when we did the offset. So, no fear. Trim command is here. I'll go in there and touch it there. That is what I want trimmed, so I'll hit a left click, and there it goes. Hit escape to turn off trim so I don't trim anything I don't want to trim. And we're almost there. Now we need to put one more leg right in here, and that one's a little taller than this one. Let's take a look at that. So we know we want to go 3.5 millimeters in, but we also want to be 2 millimeters taller than this one. That we want. So let's do that. Okay, so we'll shrink that up. Now I believe it was the first line is 3.5 millimeters, so let's just throw a line in there, 3.5 millimeters. Oh, before I do that, let's throw a center line. Center line somewhere in there. So we know that covers the top of that. We make sure it's horizontally constrained, and I see that it will be. Click on it, hit escape, turn off the center line command, and go to dimension. Go to the top of this one, click on it, go to that center line, click on it, come down. Whoop! What's it doing? I've seen this before a couple times. Let's see. So, undo. Alright. So what we wanted was that center line to maybe that corner. Nope, it keeps going up. It's because it's going to that center line. That's what it's doing. How interesting is that? That the center lines actually do that. But I want it to there. To there. Can I get that from the center line? Well, that's interesting how the center lines do that. So we're going to escape. And I'm going to take that center line and I'm going to turn it into a construction line. And I'll turn off center line, and look, now it's a construction line. And I want to dimension it from the top of this to that, and look at that. That was clever. Turning it from a center line, which wanted to interact with the other center line, to a construction line made it incompatible with each other. 2 millimeters, by the way. Double check, make sure it is, and it is. Yeah, it looks like I used a construction line back then too. But that's interesting to see how that center line will interact with that center line. You may run into that from time to time. Just flip it over to a construction line and it should be good. Okay, so that's 2 millimeters, and I believe this one from here to somewhere out here is 3.5. Is that correct? 3.5. 3.5 is 3.5 millimeters to the next line, which goes all the way up, and then all the way down to that line. So let's do that. So here's the crazy thing I'm going to do. Make sure these are turned off. Make sure that line is on. I'm going to take a guess. Somewhere around here is where we want it to be. Actually, we want to start it on this construction line here somewhere. And go down a little bit. Make sure it's vertically constrained. Escape. And let's put our dimension to it. From there to there. Click on it to lock it. Click on it again and say 3.5. Let's double check. Make sure it is 3.5. It is 3.5. Great. Let's extend it down. Good. And turn off extend. We'll hit escape to turn it off for sure. Now going across that construction line, how wide does it have to be? 2 millimeters, right there. So we'll flip back here. Make that, look for the green dot, good. Come across about 2 millimeters. Click on it again to lock it in, and click on it to lock it. We're going to go to dimension. We're going to choose that line. Nope. Let's choose it again. Okay, sometimes you run into this where you hit dimension, and you click on it, and you get the construction line. Boo hiss. And then you think you can do it again, and it doesn't work. Then you hit escape out of frustration. Here's what you do. Turn on dimension. Go to the red dot end of that line. Go to the other end and click on it, and now you can click on lock it in, click it in place, and then turn it into 2 millimeters by going to the end dots, the red dot and the red dot. That's a good tip. Okay, now all we need to do is go straight down. So I'm going to click on line, make sure these are turned off, and I'm going to find the green dot, come down, make sure it's vertically constrained, and it will be. Hit escape, And I'm going to use that extend command again to run it all the way down, and it locks itself in. I love that. I don't have to sit there and worry about clicking on it. It does it for me. Alright, hit escape. And let's check and see how we're doing. That's looking good. This one is 2 millimeters taller than this because of that dimension. These are 3.5 millimeters apart because of that dimension. This is 2 millimeters thick because of that dimension, and we don't know how far down that goes. We just know it goes from there all the way down. So let's do that. Yeah, well, we have done that. But here's the next thing, is that is an open area. And if I look here, I see it's not. Again, the trim command, and then we go just I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to be sure we get the right thing here. We touch that one and click on it. We touch that one and click on it, and that's it. Hit escape. You are good to go. Alright, so does that look like that? I say it does. So, you should be good and ready to rotate. So we'll finish our sketch because we are finished with it. And I'm just gonna, well, the way it rotated, I'm gonna leave it like that. But now we're going to click on the revolve command. And when we click on revolve, the profile we will select will be this whole thing. Now that center line is causing that end to be separate, so be careful of that. Make sure that when you choose this, you choose that and you choose that. Get them both. Okay? And then the axis we rotate around will be that center line right there. And look at that. Does that not look like that? Tip it this way, you can see. Yes, it does. It looks just like that. Okay, good. Now, next step is to chamfer these edges at 2 millimeters. That is a 2 millimeter chamfer that we're going to do. Alright, so let's do that. Oh, first of all, okay your work, because you need to lock that in. Now we can chamfer the inside edges of this. I think it's for to keep the rain out. It becomes a drip edge that goes outwards. So we'll go with that. Chamfer 2 millimeters is, look at that, mine's already set at 2 millimeters. Very cool. There's two edges I want. I want the inside edge of this one. I'm going to click on it. And I want the inside edge of this one. And I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to say OK. And now it looks just like that one. Okay? Excellent. What's next? Okay. Yes, we'll add a triangle to this. And you notice that the flat side faces up and down on the right. Basically, when this cup is turned right side up, that will catch the wind. And then the pointed end will deflect the wind when it goes against it, when it's swinging around. So that's the logic behind that. So let's go ahead and draft it, and you'll notice that it has to be extruded towards this curved surface first, and then we'll extrude it away from it second. So let's start with that one. Okay, so we need to have a drawing surface, and I think the best way to do that is to look at plane here, and there is one here. I know that we didn't use it before, and I actually in a prior episode said we not available for what we're working with. Yes, it is. It's available for this particular instance. Tangent to surface through point. There's a little point right there on the edge of the curve, and it makes that plane go right down the side of it. That's exactly what we want. That's the drawing surface we want to draw on, and it'll bring it right up tight against the edge of it. So let's do that. Okay, so we need a point. Well, I don't see any, but there is one that's hidden. Remember this sketch right here that's underneath all of that? Well, if I right click on it and say visible, there's a point right there. So let's rotate this up so it's a side profile. And we'll zoom in. There's a point right there we can use. So zoom out a little. We'll go to plane and do tangent to surface through point. And we'll just touch it right there. Yeah. Excellent. I even get the yellow X and the little red dot. The yellow X is enough actually. So we'll click on it. And then we have to click a curved surface. Not this one, but this one. And when I click on it, it doesn't look like it did anything, but it added work plane 3 right there. Watch when I rotate it around to the side. Ta-da! There it is. Just where we want it. So let's go ahead and right click on sketch and turn off the visibility so it's not distracting us. And let's rotate this around and zoom out just a touch. In fact, I'm going to click on this thing called right so we can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to right click on it here, and I'm going to go down and find auto resize, and there. Now it is one big drawing surface up against the edge of the curve. Alright, straighten it back out by clicking on right. Alright, let's draw our triangle. And our triangle needs to be 6.5 millimeters, and it also has to extend down a little bit so that, what does that mean? It has to, part of it has to be down here. Half of it has to go in and fill in this part. The other half has to be on this curved part up here. I think the best way to do that is go into 2D Sketch, choose our drawing plane surface, work plane 3, or whatever number you have. Yours might be different, but it's that work plane. And I want to zoom in, project geometry. I want this line right here. And I would love to have the y-axis too. So I just click on y-axis here, so it should be visible here. And that's really all I need, are those two. So let's go into, now normally you'd see a rectangle here, but let's go in Dropbox and do polygon. And you probably have a 6 up here, so I want you to change it to a 3. The reason mine's already preset is because I've been practicing. 3, but don't click done. You're not, because you're not done. And let's just go ahead and draw a triangle. I'm going to click, and I'm going to go so that it points to the left. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. In fact, I'm going to make it a little bit crooked on purpose. And I'm going to click it right there and anchor it in. And then I'm going to say done because we're done drawing triangles. Alright, let's move this over a little bit. Again, holding the middle mouse wheel down like a clickable button gives you the ability to slide it over. So, I want, now here's a thing. These are now backwards. This right side, for some reason, is. I know this from practicing. So I'm going to click on horizontal constraint to make that vertical. Don't you love it? Anyway, I wish they would straighten that out in the code. You know, if they could auto-rotate those, that would be a wish I would have for the designers. But until then, I guess we'll just deal with it. The other constraint here, this one right here. This is, I'm waiting for it to come up. I'm going to click on it anyway. Collinear constraint. That takes a line and constrains it to another line. Well, here's the lines I want. I want that y-axis, which I'm going to click on right now. And I want that edge right there. I'm going to click on it now, and ta-da! It constrained it right there. The only thing left is this triangle is still too high. So I'm going to click on the other constraint, the collinear constraint, I believe it is called. Let's make sure. Coincident constraint, not collinear. Coincident constraint. we'll take that center dot, click on it, and find this line right here. Don't be fooled by that one. This one. Click on it, and there. That is right where I want it. Okay, so we're going to finish our sketch. And let's hide that plane so we don't have it in our way. And now you can see there's our triangle. And that's just the way it should be. And now I want to extrude it towards this object and then away from it in 2 steps. First step is extrude it in towards it. And you can see, whoop, I can't zoom it in because it's a PowerPoint, but there you can just see a little bit there where it went in towards it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click on extrude. We're going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to pick that surface. And of course, going the wrong way. And that surface. And I'm going to reverse the direction. And now I can see that it's going in too far. No problem. We're going to take advantage of the toNext command and watch what it does. It follows the contour of the curve. Perfect. And it doesn't go too far. It doesn't go in there at all. It goes right to the surface, following all points of that surface, and it is marvelous how one command can do that so easily. So let's OK it. That's what we wanted. And now what I'm going to do, so we'll go back to our instructions here, and the next thing is to extrude out 55 millimeters minus 1 degree of taper. So it gets a little narrower at the end. We'll see if we can do that. Well, we'll straighten it up a little bit. And we'll go to extrude, and I believe I can choose that right there, and doesn't seem to be. Okay, it put me in sketch mode. So, okay, I have to sketch it then. Must be too complicated. Not a problem. Start with projecting geometry. I want... Can I grab that whole thing? Oh, looks like I can. I just went right in the middle and clicked on it. Of course, now I'm doing it twice, and that's not good for it. So, I've projected the geometry. We'll finish. And look at that. Yeah, don't click it twice. Just once. So, we'll zoom out a little. Move her up. Straighten it just a little bit. And change it to 55 millimeters. And then while we're here, change that to minus 1 degree, and that narrowed it. You can see that. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So we now have an arm. Let's see what they want us to do next. Put a half moon shape on it, which is going to eventually be the cup. Okay, so we will draw a half circle, 38.1 millimeters in diameter. Hey, their dimensions. I bet that's some kind of standard English dimension of some kind. So, okay, so here we are. Let's rotate it. I see back will do it. So now we are looking at it this direction with the flat facing us. So we want a 38.1 millimeter half circle. Well, I propose what we do is we sketch on that surface because we want the half circle to be even with that surface. And we'll slide it over a little bit. Yeah, we'll just leave zoomed out a little. Let's draw a circle somewhere. Alright, so there's our circle. Let's dimension it. 38.1. That was nice and big. 38.1 diameter. Is that right? Double check our work. 38.1. Good. And what we want to do... Oh, I didn't mean that. Escape. I meant to grab that center point and snap. Okay. Escape until we get out of all the drawing stuff. Now, that's what I want to do, is kind of bring it a little bit closer. And I'm going to start with this constraint right here. That is the tangent constraint, and it brings a line to a circle or a circle to a line. In our case, I'm going to click on it. Here's the circle. I'm going to click on the circle. Here's the line I want to come to. I'm going to click on it, and there it is. And our circle's a little high. I'm going to escape like crazy, get out of it. Because right now, it can slide around anywhere that we don't want it to. So what we want is, there should be a center line right here, and watch this. I'll show you. If I flip this around this way, remember that triangle right there? That could be considered a center line. So why don't we treat it like one? Let's constrain that to a center. So we take the center dot, constrain it to the center line, and look at that. Beautiful. Now we'll just rotate it back around again. Okay, good. But there's one other thing I need to show you. And if I zoom way in, you will see a gap right here. And right here. So if this were to be extruded on a 3D printer, that gap right there, it would just touch right here at this point, and it would just fall right off. So we need to make this so that that gap is not there. That'll be in a step or two here coming up. So we get our half moon, and then we make our shape, and then we extrude out, and that's how we'll be able to fill that gap. So we are right here at this point. We need to make a half moon shape. And we have a full circle. I want to use a rotate. I want to rotate down the middle of this 180 degrees, and that'll give us our cup. Right now we just have a circle. Alright, so we need a line that go right through that, and I think the easiest way to do it, I'm going to escape like crazy so nothing's turned on. Let's take that line, and let's draw a nice big long line, and let's make sure that it is constrained vertically like it's saying. Okay? Oh, escape, so we're done drawing a line. And now let's constrain that line to that circle so it bisects it right down the middle. Going into our constraint right here. Coincident constraint, I believe it is called. Yep. Let's constrain that line to that center dot. Beautiful. Now it's still too long. That's okay. Let's constrain that top of the line right there to that circle. Good. And last one. That end of the line right there to that circle right there. Good. All constrained. Now I should be able to go over to the trim command and get rid of this left hand side. And that's the dotted line is right where I want to get rid of it. So I'm going to click on it, and there. Now we have our half moon. Okay. So let's finish that sketch. And let's go to the next step, which is to rotate it 180 degrees. And to also make it a shell, not a solid. I'll show you what that is. So, just for grins, or to kind of give you a perspective, let's orient it this way so you can kind of see what's going on. Let's find the revolve command. And revolve has selected that profile for us already. It's just waiting for us to pick an axis. Don't pick this one. Pick this one. This side right here. That edge of the half moon. Click on it, and you get a full circle. We're going to change that to 180. 180. And notice that it is backwards. We want the cup facing us. So, no problem. Go over here and click on the flipped. And now it is flipped. But it's still solid. And if I remember right, cups are not solid, they're hollow. So we'll go up to this command right here and click on it to turn this into just a surface. And that right there we will thicken in the next step. So let's OK it. And you can see it has gaps. It would fall off if we printed it that thin. But that's no problem, because we're not going to do that. We're going to thicken this now, this cup, and it will take care of the gaps. And the way we'll do that is we'll go find the thicken command right here. We'll click on it, and we'll do a select. We'll select that cup. Now, when I clicked on it, notice this green line that came about. That green line represents the 1 millimeter distance, which is what I want, of thickness. It starts from the shape and goes outwards 1 millimeter. If I were to click on this one, it would go inward, and that would still leave the gaps. So we want it to be sure that it goes outwards. And that looks good to me. I'm going to hit OK. Great. It filled in the gaps. Just like that. Okay. So we're almost there. We have 1 arm and 1 cup. We should have 3. So let's see if we can make 3. What you'll want to find is this one right here, the circular pattern command. And I'm going to click on circular pattern, and I'm going to choose my x-axis, which is right here. There we go. Okay, so now it's going to revolve. Now I've got to choose the things I want to revolve around it. Well, what if we grab, we don't need the work plane, but we do need that extrusion, so we need, well, I'm getting 6 of them. How about that arm? We'll need 3 of those arms. How about that revolution? And we want it to be thickened. And if I hit OK, we get 6. So, not a problem. Just right click on it and say Edit Feature. Change that 6. Whoops. Should be a 3, not 23. 3. OK your work. And you have completed your wind cups for your weather vane, your weather station. And actually, this is the right side up version of it. That goes on a shaft of a motor that gets spun. It's actually kind of a little generator. It generates a voltage. The more wind you have, the more voltage you have. And it just transmits that information, records it. So look at that. If we take and go to View and change the visual style to just shaded, now it makes total sense. That's exactly what it should look like. And there you have it. That is your next project. Good luck. And shoot me an email if you have trouble with it. I can walk you through a lot of this stuff. So there were a couple gotchas with that right there I ran into, but I have shown you how to get around them without showing you how to get in trouble. But if you do get in trouble, I can help you. Good luck.